Hello again, it's me, SparkleDart. Last time I realized I started to touch on a topic that I never really got around to finishing. I was talking about how, excuse me for burping, I apologize so much, it's just something that I do. How the White House, the people up on Capitol Hill, they decided that they were going to make gay marriage legal now, and something that I heard about that I thought was really funny was, because after that point I started going on a tangent about the preamble and how America is the best country on earth in the country, and I heard about this. Might have been unofficial news. I don't really know because I didn't follow up on the source. It could very well have been something from like The Onion or ClickHole or one of those websites that actually just gives a spin on news, so that when people share it on their Facebook, social media websites, myspace.com/fark.linkedin.com, everybody thinks, well, this is a legitimate news article, and I am mad about this, and I deserve to be mad about this because I've got all these friends that I know that are gay, and they wouldn't be so happy if they found out that there were people out there in the world who were against what we've accomplished this week, this day, this month, this year. Whatever time this video comes out, because honestly it's probably going to be a very long time until this video comes out. So if you see this and I'm talking about gay marriage, just realize that I was talking about gay marriage like shortly after that happened, that legislation was ruled that made gay marriage legal in every single state in the U.S. It's only a matter of time until marijuana becomes legal and people start marrying the pets and start divorcing their vacuums, cleaners. I don't know what people will be doing these days. It's hard to say exactly what this holds for society, but I don't see it as being a bad thing, because if gays are getting married to each other, then they're less likely to try to get married to me, something I'm not super into. I respect the gays. I think they're fine, they're funny, they got a lot of jokes. Gay comedian. I can't think of any gay comedians because I don't watch stand-up comedy. That's not really my cup of tea, but it's just okay, well, so the gays, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, and I talked about it. So what I was getting at, I guess, was that in Alabama, everybody's favorite state, this might have been an Onion and a ClickHole article or something like that. In Alabama, they were talking about banning marriage altogether, because at that point the gays wouldn't be able to get married anymore. And gay marriage, while it might be a national law that gays are allowed to get married, I guess the legality of marriage is a state by state case, and Alabama being the closed-minded bunch that they are, which doesn't really make sense to me, because Alabama was actually one of the it was not one of the last states to legalize gay marriage, which you would think that maybe the least liberal state in the union, the country, would be the last one to legalize gay marriage, but behind maybe Mississippi or Hawaii, because things, Hawaii's so far away that the people who live there don't get the news as often as we get it here. Maybe they get the news like 5 months later, like in Istanbul or Dubai, where you're going around on the street corner and you're buying movies that came out like 2 years ago in bootleg packaging, and it's maybe not even the same movie, maybe it's like a bootleg version of the movie, starring actors who both can't act and don't look similar to the actors who were in the movie, because it happens. What happens? I watched a Chinese knockoff of the movie. Okay, here's the interesting thing. It was a weird Chinese animated feature that was based off of the story of the Titanic, the one that was told in 1997 by James Cameron. And the strange thing, I guess, about this was that it was animated, and there was like a giant octopus kraken type character who was trying to help the passengers on the ship, and whether or not it was meant to be taken with a grain of salt or whatever, I'm not really sure. It's really all up for debate, I guess you could say. So if you ever wanted to watch a Chinese knockoff movie, that would be the way to go. If you go to your local Redbox, they've probably got some sort of weird knockoff of the latest Disney movie, probably Inside Out, probably some sort of creepy CGI movie called from within. That's my guess on what the Chinese knockoff version of Inside Out is. I actually watched Inside Out not too long ago. It was a good movie. It starred Amy Poehler as Joy, Bill Hader as Fear. It starred Mindy Kaling and Phyllis Smith from The Office as both disgust and sadness, respectively. And then it starred Louis Black as Anger, very fittingly, because Louis Black is a very angry person. He's a very angry comedian. He had a talk show on Comedy Central where he was angry all the time, and it was a good show, but they canceled it like they cancel all of his other programs that he does because, being a comedian this day and age and having your own TV show is actually very difficult to do. The only comedian I can think of who pulled it off well was Mr. Jerry Seinfeld. If you wanted to watch someone else like John Mulaney, then you're going to watch a show that got canceled after just a couple episodes, like the Michael J. Fox show, of course, Back to the Future. We have to reference that every playthrough. And, I just kind of think that maybe he jumped the gun on that one, Mr. John Mulaney. He was trying to create the modern-day Seinfeld, and it was just something that couldn't be done, The Seinfeld is just such a timeless classic. It's something that it does age because it was at the era before computers were a thing, even though Mr. Jerry Seinfeld has a K-Pro in his study area that he doesn't use because, he's a Jew and Jews don't use computers because they don't have to. That's not, that's just not me saying that, that's just the truth. It aged pretty badly considering that the modern technology that we experience today came out shortly after the show stopped airing. So when you watch that show, you're like, why doesn't Elaine have a cell phone that she can call Mr. Big on and Carrie and Miranda? Elaine can't call any of those people anymore because she doesn't have a cell phone. So what's going on here with this show, this program? What's the deal? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a child in the millennial generation. I was going to say elementary, which is not a word. So if you look that up on Merriam-Webster's Dictionary.com, you'll find that, of course, gellium, is that even the word that I said? It's not a word, and I promise you that I made that up because I'm talking about nonsense, and since I talk about nonsense so often, the words jumble together, especially since I'm trying to concentrate on playing a game about a purple dog man who has wings on his back. So, so Seinfeld, it's a funny show, of course, but it aged horribly because of the era in which it came out. Now, if you want to watch something that didn't age horribly up until much later, then you're going to want to watch something like The Cosby Show or Three's Company, or, Everybody Loves Raymond went well up until 2005, of course, starring my favorite actors, Ray Romano, Brad Garrett, Patricia Heaton, Doris Robert, and Peter Boyle, all of my favorite actors, all come together at last in the perfect fusion of a television sitcom. And so go ahead and watch that show. It's about a man who writes sports fiction. He has an article that he writes on a website about fan fiction for like real life sports actors, like erotic stuff. It gets real hot, actually. Some points in the show it gets real hot and heated, and it's something that if I were a lesser man, I would probably find myself kind of aroused with it, for lack of a better term. So go ahead and, if you're really into sports, I'm not super into sports. I like soccer, and I like hockey, and I like basketball. Other than that, I'm not really a huge fan of the rest of them. I'm a fan of Wayne Gretzky and Larry Bird. Those are my favorite. And then, Abdul-Jabbar, he's a good one. He's up there too. He's on my list, but he's not somebody that I would go out of my way to go see. If to go see a game that he was playing in cost me, a lot of money to do. Actually, I went to a concert a long time ago, back in 2009, featuring the band, you might have heard of them, a rock band from a while back called AC/DC. I went to go see them, and it was really good, but I got really bad seats. I paid $95 for back row seats in a large auditorium. They were playing their Black Ice Tour album, and while I enjoyed listening to the band who originally played the song Back in Black play Back in Black live, I didn't really get a lot of good visuals for the whole endeavor. So while it was very earth-shattering for me, it was just something to treasure dearly for the rest of my life. It also had its, its downfalls. We bought our tickets super late, so we got bad seats, and we tried to get better ones, but the whole thing was sold out. We couldn't get a better location. We tried, gosh dang this, to get a better location, but we couldn't get any closer. So when we wanted to watch Mr. Angus Young perform his catwalk that he did, that was originally popularized by a man called... Oh, I got all the sparkly bits. A man called Chuck Berry. He did his catwalk. I think it was what they called it, was a catwalk. And where did that little blue boy go? Where's Blue Boy at? Blue Boy, come here, Blue Boy. So I watched Mr. Angus Young do his catwalk on the stage. They did a standing ovation. Okay, they did a standing ovation of the song Highway to Hell, which was not originally recorded by Brian Johnson, the current lead singer of AC/DC. It was actually written and recorded by the former lead singer of AC/DC, Mr. Bon Scott, who died shortly after their album Let There Be Rock came out. He choked on his own vomit, and then they're like, well shit, we're at the height of it, we're just cresting in popularity now, and we can't have a dead lead singer, so we gotta find somebody else. We'll get the lead singer of the band Gordy to sing for us, even though he sounds like he just gargled a whole cup full of hot burning oil in his mouth. And Angus was like, well sure, let's do that. And Malcolm Young, Angus's brother, was like, okay, well I guess I'm a little bit hesitant to hire somebody new for our band, but if we have to do that, we have to do that. Then we'll write the album Back in Black, which is behind Michael Jackson's Thriller, the best-selling album of all time, I believe. It might have changed by now, some sort of Taylor Swift One Direction bullshit. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. It's really hard to say because I don't keep up with, Guinness Book of World Records. So, with that being said, this has been SparkleDart. Thank you for watching. I'm going to take my leave, and then we'll have a good time when you come back, and we'll talk more about music or whatever it is that you want to talk about. I'm here for you. You guys are my pals, my bros, my lovers. No, you're not my lovers. You could be, though, if you wanted to. Okay, goodbye. Mwah.